My false claim to the Nakamura family's heirship was uncovered, turning the entire city against me. My father disowned me, and the legitimate heir seized all the accomplishments I had diligently achieved. Even my fiancée turned her affections towards him. She declared, "The man I've always wanted to marry is Hiro. You're nothing more than a homeless stray, unworthy of my love." What nobody realized was that after their grand engagement celebration, I had discovered my true biological parents. My name is Alex, and I am the sole heir of the prestigious Lee family, the wealthiest in the southern region. For over 2 decades, I lived with the Nakamuras, only to learn that I was adopted. When the rightful Nakamura heir emerged, the city was thrown into chaos. Everyone saw me as a discarded stray, abandoned with nothing to my name. My fiancée even severed ties with me entirely. A week passed without any news from her, and in desperation, I searched the entire city but couldn't locate her. Eventually, someone shared a location, requesting a meeting at a downtown bar. Waiting outside the private room, I saw my fiancée, Lily, cuddled in Hiro's embrace, her eyes soft and loving. She said, "Alex, we were separated before, but now that you've rejoined the Nakamura family, we can continue our relationship." Hiro chuckled, glancing at Lily. "But it seemed like you two were doing well before. Are you truly ready to leave, Alex?" Lily scoffed. "He's just a stray now. What's there to miss? We were destined to be together, but my father forced me into this marriage. I chose him because he was eager to serve me. In my heart, no one matters but you." She moved closer to Hiro, almost kissing him, and the sight broke my heart. My anger was quickly replaced by profound disappointment. Lily nestled into Hiro's arms, her voice gentle and persuasive. "Hiro, do you still want me? If you do, I'll leave him right now." As they exchanged flirtatious glances, the crowd began to cheer and jeer. Hiro seemed to revel in the attention, smirking as he raised an eyebrow. "Sure." He pulled Lily closer, took out his phone, and handed it to her. Their eyes locked, and their gestures were intimate. Lily, standing before him, dialed my number, and my phone started ringing outside the door. Everyone turned to look at me. Someone instinctively called out, "Alex?" But another voice quickly interrupted. "Don't call him Alex anymore. He's been cast out of the house." When I entered, Lily appeared flustered and said, "Alex, when did you get here?" Feeling a sharp sting, I responded coldly, "If I hadn't come, how would I know my fiancée had become someone else's?" Lily's lips parted as if to explain, but ultimately, she gave me a look filled with complexity. Hiro looked at me with a mischievous spark in his eyes and leaned down to speak to Lily. "Hiro, I don't want anyone else in your heart. Do you understand?" Lily hesitated, but Hiro's gentle gaze seemed to encourage her. She glanced at me, picked up a bottle of red wine from the table, and poured it over my head. In that moment, I felt like a defeated soldier, a shadow of my former self. She said, "Alex, I've always loved Hiro. You were just a fool clinging to his identity for over 20 years. Now that he's returned to the Nakamura family, you're nothing but a stray. We're no longer in the same world." So, the wedding is canceled. Wine continued to drip down my face as Lily stared at me coldly. I reminisced about the days when we were first engaged, discussing our future with so much hope and excitement. But now, the longing in her eyes had been replaced with indifference, and my once passionate heart felt like it had plunged into an icy void. All the years I had dedicated to her were merely out of convenience in her eyes. The power of unforgettable first love was such that it needed nothing more than to stand by silently and already win. Hiro grinned smugly as he watched me in my pitiable state, saying, "Get out of here. Don't show up in front of me again. Just seeing you annoys me." Ignoring his provocation, I fixed my gaze on Lily. At that moment, all the noise around us ceased, and the world fell silent. I closed my eyes and wiped the wine from my face, time seeming to stand still for a brief moment. When I reopened my eyes, Lily instinctively took a step back, but I swiftly grabbed her by the back of her head with my left hand, my right hand tracing the outline of her face as I pressed my wine-drenched palm to her cheek. Shock and fear widened Lily's eyes, but she allowed me to slowly wipe my hand clean. This materialistic woman wasn't worth holding on to. So I pushed her away, discarding the emotions I had harbored for so many years. The crowd froze, unsure of how to react. I turned and walked away calmly, saying, "I hope you never regret this either." By the time they regained their composure, shouts and curses followed me, but I was already gone. Outside the bar, I removed the engagement ring and tossed it into the drain, feeling no regret. It was like discarding a decaying, toxic relationship. Hiro had always been Lily's unforgettable first love. Initially, they were indeed a couple, and I entered the picture much later. The three of us attended the same university. At that time, Hiro, who hadn't yet returned to the Nakamura family, went by the name Ken. He was a well-known underprivileged student on campus, famous for his outstanding looks and academic excellence. He was both the campus heartthrob and a genius student, and the person he despised most was me. More than once, he mocked me as a useless rich kid with no ambition, criticizing me for not living in the dorms like everyone else, but instead buying an off-campus house and living in luxury without experiencing hardship. I retorted that I didn't need to force myself into hardship. We were like fire and water. The university forums even became battlegrounds where our supporters clashed. But I ultimately lost. At that time, I had fallen deeply in love with Lily and pursued her for 2.5 years. But she consistently rejected me. Still, I never gave up because once I set my mind on something, I fought for it relentlessly. Eventually, she began to soften, even holding my hand the day before Valentine's Day, just when I thought she was finally going to agree to be with me. Ken, still known as Hiro then, confessed his feelings to her, and she accepted him without hesitation. The top post on the school forum now read, "The rich young master's unrequited love, while the poor genius wins the girl's heart." This marked the end of the feud between Hiro and me. After they got together, I gracefully withdrew and never troubled Lily again. I believed our fate had ended there, but 3 years later, our families arranged us as marriage candidates. The Lee family placed great importance on social standing and would never approve of Ken, who came from a poor background. They repeatedly tried to stop their relationship, and in the end, they were forced to part ways. Otherwise, Lily wouldn't have been at this matchmaking event. When we met, both of us were surprised. We hadn't expected to see each other. I knew she still couldn't let go of Hiro, but when she suggested we give it a try, I couldn't help but agree. After all, I had never stopped thinking about her all these years. I believed that with my sincerity and earnestness, I could win her heart and become the only man in her life. After we started dating, things went more smoothly than I had anticipated. Like any couple, we had both affection and arguments. Soon we were talking about marriage. But just then, my adoptive father brought Hiro back to the Nakamura family, claiming he was his real son. It was then that I learned I had been adopted. The true heir had returned to the affluent family, and I, the false heir, was immediately expelled. Ken, the impoverished boy, transformed into the wealthy Hiro. An unforgettable first love returned to claim Lily without hesitation, completely abandoning me in the process. Lily's actions shattered me from the start. Her heart had always belonged to Hiro. All the affection she had shown me was merely superficial. She had never truly tried to accept me. As for my adoptive father, who had rarely shown me any warmth, after bringing back his biological son, he wore a joyful expression that couldn't be concealed. He expelled me from the house, not allowing me to take anything except the clothes on my back. At Hiro and Lily's engagement party, he made me publicly announce that I was leaving the Nakamura family voluntarily and wouldn't take a single penny. My adoptive father was a shrewd businessman. He ensured everyone knew that while the Nakamura family had found their real son, they had also treated their adopted son well. This was all because I had wanted to return to my biological parents. For that, I was willing to leave empty-handed. He had tried to keep me, but when I insisted on leaving, he had no choice but to let me go. The kindness he showed me over 20 years ultimately gave the Nakamura family a good reputation. It was merely a change of identity, but it caused everyone around me to abandon me, revealing the true faces of many people. In that case, I decided to relinquish everything from those 20 years, including the Nakamura family name. What no one knew was that after their grand engagement party, I had actually found my real biological parents. My name is Alex Lee. I am the only son of Lee, the wealthiest family in the South Province. Before returning to the Lee family, I still had matters to attend to. After graduation, while managing the Nakamura family business, I also collaborated with my classmates to develop a new patented technology. This patent was originally intended for a new product the Nakamura family was launching, and it was the core technology of the entire product. But now there was no need for that anymore, so we decided to sell it instead. My father fully supported my decision and told me to ask for anything I needed. Once everything was settled, he promised to formally welcome me back into the Lee family with great fanfare. Before that, to make up for everything, my father not only gave me tens of billions but also gifted me several properties worth over $1 billion each. He said these were just parting gifts and that everything would be mine once I returned to the Lee family. Everything I owned now was far more than what I had in the Nakamura family. After moving into my new residence, I received a message from a classmate informing me that they had found a buyer. We arranged to meet at a cafe an hour later, so I gathered the documents and headed to the location with my classmate. Upon arrival, I was shocked to discover that the buyer was Hiro. He was just as surprised to see me. His eyes couldn't hide the jealousy as he gritted his teeth and said, "This patent was actually developed by someone like you." I didn't bother giving Hiro a pleasant response. I coldly replied, "What's wrong with someone like me? Someone like me not only developed the patent, but can also choose not to sell it to someone like you. What can you do about that?" I glanced at Lily, who was standing beside Hiro with a clueless expression, before turning and leaving the cafe with my classmate. But just as I stepped out, Lily actually ran up behind me. She said, "Alex, wait a second." Lily stopped me and, with an air of authority, ordered, "Hiro has just returned to the Nakamura family, and the new product must not fail. This patent is crucial to him. Just sell it to him." The moment I heard the Nakamura surname, I felt disgusted. But what was even worse was Lily acting all high and mighty in front of me. I smirked. "In that case, I definitely won't sell it." Lily snapped, "You! How can you be like this?" She stomped her foot in frustration but was helpless, perhaps because I had always gone along with her in the past. She didn't expect that I would actually reject her request. Just as I was about to walk past her, Hiro emerged as well, hands in his pockets. He arrogantly said, "All right, enough pretending. You just want the money, don't you? Look, I'm feeling generous. I'll add 5% more to the original price. Consider it a reward for you." Lily echoed him. "You've hit the jackpot, and you still haven't thanked Hiro." I chuckled. "Thank him? He's the one begging me to sell, but I'm not selling. Not only am I not selling, but I'm also curious to see how Hiro will manage the Nakamura family without this patent." Hiro, who had been full of pride moments ago, suddenly turned pale with rage. He gritted his teeth and spat. "You really think you're special, huh? You're just a stray now, and you're still so stubborn." Lily looked at me with disdain, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I know you've lost everything and are upset, but there's no need to punish yourself like this, right? Hiro's willingness to buy your patent is already giving you face. If you're not in a hurry to sell, why even show up here?" I gave them both a disgusted look and sneered. "A lose-lose is better than a one-sided win. If you two aren't happy, then that's my satisfaction. The reason I'm here is to sell this patent to a company that can truly appreciate it, but if I'd known it was you two, I wouldn't have wasted my time coming here." After getting into the car, my classmate quickly apologized. Damn it, when they contacted me, they used a fake name. If I had known it was them, I would have never agreed. My classmate and I had a good relationship even after I was expelled from the Nakamura family. He still stood by my side. I waved my hand dismissively. "It's fine, don't take it to heart." Just as we were talking, I received a message from Hiro. He said, You're just a dog that got thrown out, and you still dare to bark in front of me. I hope you can keep up this bravado. Don't come crying to me later when you beg me to buy your worthless patent. Reading his arrogant message, I couldn't help but think, is this what it means to be nouveau riche? He's been manipulated, yet all he can do is spew threats. When he was still a poor boy, he never dared to speak so arrogantly to others. My classmates saw the message and couldn't help but laugh, saying, "This guy got more confident after returning to the Nakamura family. It's hard to believe he's the same person." But soon after, I received a call from my adoptive father. He said, "Give your patent to Hiro." He said it so matter-of-factly, as though I was born to serve the Nakamura family. I replied indifferently, "What if I don't?" There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then he growled, "Don't forget, I gave you more than 20 years of a luxurious life. You really have no conscience, do you?" I didn't want to make things ugly, but hearing that, I couldn't hold back my anger. I sneered, "If I have no conscience, then who should bear the entire crisis when the Nakamura family was in trouble and even helped increase their assets several times with my hard work? In the end, everything went into your son's hands. At Hiro and Lily's engagement party, the drama you made me play there. I've already repaid every favor from these past years." I lowered my voice. Mr. Tanaka, do you think you can control me for the rest of my life with this one sentence? Moral blackmail won't work on me. If necessary, I can throw morality out the window." On the other end, he sighed helplessly and his tone softened. "Alex, I've been your father for more than 20 years. Can you do me a favor?" When he wanted my help, he suddenly appealed to emotion. But when he expelled me from the Nakamura family, there wasn't an ounce of softness. I sneered, "For more than 20 years, you never once fulfilled the role of a father. Also, have you forgotten? The day you expelled me from the Nakamura family, you didn't even leave me a single penny. Now you're using emotional appeal." I paused and added, "By the way, I now go by Lee and my name is Alex." With that, I hung up the phone and blocked all contact with the Nakamura family and Lily. Hiro's confidence came from the Nakamura family. He thought that if his father came to beg me, I would hand over the patent out of gratitude for all they had done. Unfortunately, I'm not the soft-hearted type. More importantly, I no longer owe the Nakamura family anything. After dropping my classmate off, I drove back to my villa. This villa was far more luxurious than the Nakamura family's. But just as I finished a hot shower and was about to rest, I received a message from my classmate informing me that I was being maliciously slandered online. I quickly opened my phone, and sure enough, Lily had posted an article on her account with over 1 million followers, defaming me. Lily had been active on the internet since college, evolving from a fashion blogger to a beauty influencer. In just a few years, she had amassed over 2 million followers. She wrote, "Hiro, the young master of the Nakamura family, wanted to buy my patent, but because I wanted to get back at them, I raised the price to 10 times its original value. I was jealous of Alex since college and often used my resources to suppress him, even resorting to dirty tricks." After her lengthy slander, she ensured to state that she had invested $1 million in Hiro's project on behalf of the Lee family. Lily's million-strong following immediately propelled her post into the top 10 trending topics. With the Nakamura family chairman's endorsement and confirmation, public opinion turned overwhelmingly against me. People hurled insults, saying, "Is he even human? If it weren't for the Nakamura family's support all these years, would he even be alive? I've seen greedy people, but never someone who raises the price by 10 times. He must be out of his mind for money." Others commented, "I can't believe he's such scum. Makes me regret supporting Lily and the Nakamura family. Garbage like him deserves to rot in a trash heap." Some even remarked, "I bet all that Alex voluntarily leaving the Nakamura family was just for show. He's probably scheming something bad now that he's so desperate for money." I scrolled through the comments indifferently, seeing many that were far worse. It was clear that many people didn't care about the truth, only about venting their emotions. Just then, my phone rang from an unknown number. I hesitated for a moment before answering. On the other end, Lily's voice came through sharply. She said, "Alex, you actually blocked my number? Are you too afraid to face me?" I calmly asked, "What is it?" She responded, "I'm sure you've seen the online drama. I'm giving you a chance now. Sell the patent to Hero at a discount and publicly apologize to him. Then I'll help clear your name and delete that post. This will all be over." Lily still spoke in a high-handed tone, as if she had completely cornered me. I rubbed my temples, listening to my former lover standing firmly on the opposite side, protecting her new beau so gently. I couldn't help but reflect on how unlucky I was to have such a partner back then. How foolish of her to make this call now. "So," I said, "all these years, my wholehearted effort for you was just met with your malicious defamation. You really want to go this far? How about clarifying the truth for me instead?" Hearing me weaken, Lily's tone became even more dismissive. She said, "Don't bring up the past. Your one-sided love for me only made me sick. I've always liked Hero. If it weren't for you, I'd be with him already. You deserve this. I advise you to sell the patent to us quickly, or I fear you won't be able to handle the online backlash. Don't blame me if you end up jumping off a building." I smirked. Some people just can't be reasoned with. That was the end of it. There was nothing more to say. I deliberately provoked her, saying, "You think you can keep trending for a day? Do you think you can stay on the trending list forever? After a few days, who will even remember these lies? I'm not responding, and the situation will blow over. I'm not selling, so what are you going to do about it?" Before she could respond, I hung up the phone. As expected, the online outrage continued to escalate under her malicious guidance. My father was furious. He told me the Lee Group's PR team had already prepared a countermeasure, ready to strike back at any moment. I knew that was the fastest way, but the timing wasn't right. I needed to handle it myself and fan the flames a little more. My classmate helped me reach out to some of his friends in the media who knew I was being slandered and wanted to help me fight back. I looked at them gratefully, saying, "Thank you all for your concern. I have a plan." My classmate excitedly asked, "What's the plan? Can we help?" I chuckled softly and said, "I have recordings of that conversation and the phone call." True to form, he said, "You've already recorded it. Play the recordings now, and my friends can help you fight a perfect counterattack." I stirred my coffee, thinking like a strategist. No need to rush. The timing isn't quite right yet. Let them fly higher first. When they fall, they'll shatter into pieces. To keep Lily's online drama escalating, I worked diligently every day. I would send her messages, mixing pity with pleas. But every time she mentioned me selling her the patent, I would firmly say no. The cycle repeated itself daily, each time making her angrier. Watching public opinion online intensify made me feel excited. In just a few days, Lily had gained millions of followers. The Nakamura family also benefited from the sympathy, and the company's stocks rose, securing more deals for them. I hadn't expected their defamation to bring them so many benefits. As I watched them bask in their success, I knew my time was approaching. The Nakamura family had been trying to acquire a piece of land in Beijing for a long time. Recently, through the Lee Group, I had leaked news that we were planning to establish a large shopping center and a film set in the East District of Beijing. Now the auction for the land was finally underway. When I arrived at the auction in a suit, Hero and Lily walked towards me, their faces full of disbelief. Hero looked me up and down and sneered, "Not bad. You dress like you're someone important, but this place isn't for just anyone. You'd better leave before security kicks you out." I couldn't help but laugh. If someone like you can get in, it seems the security here isn't up to par. Huh, Hero. Red with anger, he was about to respond, but I had already turned and headed to my seat. As if in a fit of spite, Hero sat down next to me. He leaned in and, in a mocking tone, whispered, "Hey, useless. I didn't think you'd still be alive after being expelled. But here you are at the auction. You're probably just here to sell your broken patent, huh? Guess you regret being so arrogant back then, don't you?" He kept muttering insults in my ear, but I paid him no attention. Maybe because he was so frustrated, he bid 1 billion as soon as the auction began. His bold move caught everyone's attention. Maybe he thought such a number would scare me into backing down. He turned to me with a smug grin, but I ignored him and quietly raised my paddle to bid 1 million more. The auction had a rule requiring a minimum increase of 1 million for each bid. Hero hesitated for a moment, then, unwilling to lose face, bid 10 million more. But no matter how much he bid, I always raised my offer by 1 million. At first, other business owners participated, but as the bids climbed higher, they all backed out. In the end, it was just Hero and me, continuing to bid like children in a rivalry. Soon, the bid had reached 350 million. Hero was already trembling with rage, and despite Lily's attempts to calm him down, nothing worked. His eyes flashed with hostility as he said, "This is all the money you can scrape together. Ah, selling your patent. But you're still trying to compete with me over this land. You think you can develop it with no money? Who do you think you are, trying to compete with me for this?" Hero raised his paddle and yelled, 10 billion. The room fell silent. Whispers spread among the crowd. Despite his boastful offer, I knew exactly what was happening. The Nakamura family had set a limit of 4 billion for buying land, so I had no intention of continuing to bid. But unexpectedly, Hero had gone beyond that limit himself. Without me even pushing him, he jumped straight into the trap. He and Lily were a perfect pair, both of them clueless. The auctioneer's gavel came down, signaling the end of the auction. Hero, full of himself, looked around like the center of attention, as if he were the winner. But I smiled subtly. I knew the real winner was yet to come. As soon as the auction ended, I sent out a long post as my counterattack. In it, I explained my relationship with Lily and Hero and published all the recordings of our conversations, including the ones where my adoptive father told me to leave the Nakamura house and gave me no money, showing that it was all part of their scheme to take everything from me. Thanks to the help of my friends in the media and the public relations team at Lee Group, the post quickly went viral. In less than half an hour, public opinion had completely flipped, with undeniable evidence. Lily's slanders quickly unraveled, and the public turned their anger toward her and the Nakamura family. The backlash was intense. Comments poured in, disgusting. Not only did they expel him, but now they're trying to steal his patent and manipulate public opinion to destroy him. This adopted son was treated terribly. He was left with nothing, and they still want to humiliate him. The worst part is Lily. She was playing him all along. When her old flame came back, she immediately jumped into bed with Hero. It's obvious who the real dog is now. The Nakamura patriarch is a traitor. When the Nakamura family was in crisis, he abandoned everything and left his adopted son to deal with it alone. In the end, he gave all the credit to his biological son and expelled the adopted son. Hero is a fool like a nouveau riche. He's nothing but trash. But now he thinks he's some kind of high and mighty CEO. Within hours, Lily lost all her sponsorships, and her breach of contract penalties amounted to over 100 million. The Nakamura family also faced a series of canceled deals. Not only were they losing new partnerships gained through defaming me, but many of their old contracts were being dissolved as well. Facing numerous claims for breach of contract, the Nakamura family's finances, which were barely holding up, took another blow. But Hero, in his bid to show off, had spent 10 billion on that plot of land. All the money was gone in one fell swoop. Not long after, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Lily's frantic voice came through. "Alex, what you did? You're ruining Hero's life. Please just post something to clear things up. Do it for me, for all the years we've known each other." I laughed with disdain. "Now that you need something from me, you start bringing up the past." "Ah, well, let me tell you. Those memories mean nothing now. While you were leading public opinion against me, did my pleas ever receive any sympathy from you?" There was silence on the other end, and I could hear her breathing rapidly. "No. Wait. If you do this for me, I'll repay you. I'll stay with you for a night. You know, like we used to. What do you think?" The laugh that escaped me was involuntary. Did she really think that after everything I would still want anything to do with her? Was she that delusional? You really don't get it, do you? You're so cheap and have no dignity. You actually repulse me. Get lost. I hung up the phone without waiting for a response and blocked her number. No sooner had I done so than the phone rang again. Alex, you're out of your mind. My adoptive father's frantic voice came through the phone. Clarify everything online immediately. The Nakamura family's stocks are plummeting, and you need to find a way to cover those penalties. The audacity. I chuckled. What does that have to do with me? He nearly yelled back. This is all your mess. If you don't take responsibility, who will? Don't forget, I raised you for over 20 years. I replied, this is the same old story. I've repaid my debts to you. Moral blackmail doesn't work on me. My adoptive father coughed several times and his tone softened a little. So you're just going to watch the Nakamura family fall? Have you forgotten how much you worked for them? I fell silent for a moment, then smirked. My hard work was just to be used as someone else's bargaining chip. Besides, I've already stopped using the Nakamura surname. Whether they rise or fall is none of my concern. He started threatening me. Fine, you won't listen to reason, right? Even though I'm in crisis now, I could still easily destroy you. Just wait. Oh, I responded indifferently and hung up the phone. I couldn't believe how they just kept exposing themselves, one fool after another. I immediately uploaded the recording online and reported the matter to the police. It didn't take long for the police to question him, and the online backlash was even worse. The Nakamura family, already on edge, was now on the verge of collapsing. From then on, I blocked all unfamiliar numbers. I didn't need to guess who was calling. Later, I received a text message claiming to be from Heir, asking to meet, curious about what kind of game he was trying to play. I agreed to meet at a quiet tea house on the outskirts. I met Heir. His face was haggard, and he looked 10 years older than before. No wonder he chose such a secluded place. He was now a public enemy, hated by everyone. He said, "You must have known that the land couldn't be developed in the short term. Now you can't even flip it for a profit, Alex. Do you really have to be so ruthless? The Nakamura family raised you for 20 years, and this is how you repay us?" Heir glared at me with clenched fists on the table. I remained unfazed, casually replying with a smile. "You probably don't know, but even if the land could be developed, you still wouldn't be able to flip it because the information I gave you about the shopping center and film set was all fake." Heir stood up, furious, as if he was going to take a swing at me. I laughed. "What? Are you angry?" I waved my hand downward and said, "I know you're frustrated, but hold on. Why can't you stay calm for once? What's your plan here? Trying to solve things with violence? Let's talk business." Hearing this, he took a deep breath and sat back down. Heir gritted his teeth and said, "I'm giving you an offer you can't refuse. 10 billion, and I'll give Lily to you. How about it?" "What?" I almost couldn't believe my ears. He continued, "I lost, so Lily is completely yours. I just want 10 billion. Heir seemed to think he had me cornered, a gleam of triumph in his eyes. 10 billion for your most beloved woman? Not a bad deal, right? I stared at him as if he were a fool. Where did you get the nerve to say such disgusting things? But I still asked, aren't you in love with Lily? Heir burst out laughing as though I had told the funniest joke. I'm just using her. If I hadn't seen you always chasing after her, I wouldn't even have bothered looking at this pampered rich girl. I confessed to her just to show you rich second-generation heirs that you can never beat me if you just rely on your connections. Later, I thought I could use her to cross social classes, but her old man came to me and begged me to break up with her. I demanded 5 million before I agreed to leave that stupid woman, Lily. When I returned to the Nakamura family, she was the one chasing me, telling me she was waiting for me. She thought I felt the same, but I'd already gone through how many women by then. I agreed to marry her because she's the only daughter of the Liu family. Once I inherit her property, I'll have it made. When the Nakamura family got into trouble, I tried to get money from her, but her father refused. So I had to make a deal with you. How about it? 10 billion, and I'll deliver her to you right away." After hearing his words, I was dumbfounded. I stood up and said, "Sorry, I have to leave." Just as I was about to walk away, Hiro quickly called out, "What do you mean?" I replied, "I think it's pretty clear. The deal's off." Hiro was shocked. "Aren't you obsessed with Lily?" I rubbed my temples, looking at him in disbelief. "What? Why would I want Lily, that used-up woman? 10 billion? Are you inflating her value like this?" Hiro said, "If you don't agree, we can negotiate." I responded dryly, "Keep her for yourself. Then after all, I'm not like you." "I don't enjoy wearing a green hat," I added. After getting rid of Hiro just a few days later, I ran into Lily. Lately, they had been like persistent ghosts, refusing to leave me alone. At my regular coffee shop, Lily was waiting for me. The online backlash had taken its toll on her, and even though she wore delicate makeup, it couldn't hide her haggard look. She said, "Alex, please help Hiro. I'm begging you." I glanced at her coldly and was about to leave, but suddenly she kneeled in front of me, her eyes red, and said, "Isn't this what you wanted? You want me to bow to you, don't you? This mess all started because of you. I can forgive you, but please help him. I don't want to watch his life fall apart." I never expected that the once high and mighty daughter of the Liu family would kneel to me for Hiro. She didn't forget to try to manipulate me with moral guilt, just like my shameless adoptive father. I was about to curse her out when I saw Hiro rush in and pull Lily up from the ground. He said with righteous indignation, "Lily, don't kneel to this kind of person. Even if I can't make it, as long as I have you, my life will still be worth it." Lily was moved to tears by his words, gazing at him for a long time, as if making a decision. She then said resolutely, "Hiro, I've decided to sell my grandfather's car, house, and company shares to pay your penalties." Hiro was also moved to tears, pulling Lily into a tight hug. I knew why Hiro was suddenly acting so noble and affectionate. Lily's grandfather had died, and now he was after her inheritance. He said, "Lily, I will never forget your kindness. You are the priceless treasure in my heart." But before he could finish his sentence, I played the recording from that day. 10 billion, and Lily is yours. Their expressions changed drastically, especially Hiro, whose face darkened. Hiro furrowed his brows and asked, "How do you have that recording?" I replied dryly, "Hiro, when will you learn? How many times have you all fallen for recordings? You don't deserve a new trick from me." I waved the recorder in my hand. "I'm recording right now, you know." Hiro gritted his teeth and hissed, "You bastard." He lunged at me to grab the recorder, but Lily slapped him hard across the face. Lily shouted, "You're the real bastard. I can't believe I trusted you. We're breaking up. This time, no one can save you." With her eyes red, Lily stormed off. Hiro shot me a furious glare before rushing after her. Watching them fight like dogs made me feel a surge of satisfaction. Dealing with fools like them, having the recorder ready at all times was definitely the right choice. Unable to cover the breach of contract penalties. My adoptive father sold the Nakamura family business. Though some of the Nakamura's original partners and clients, out of years of loyalty, didn't abandon them, my father had always despised the Nakamura family. He couldn't resist taking action. Once he did, the remaining partners immediately canceled their contracts. The Nakamura family collapsed overnight, and the Lee Group was the one that acquired it. On the day of the acquisition contract signing, my father asked me to go in person. When I arrived, the Nakamura family chairman, his hair now mostly gray and looking 10 years older, looked at me with a sudden gleam of hope in his eyes. He said, "Alex, you're here. Are you finally willing to help me?" I calmly sat in the chairman's seat and said, "I think I should remind you, Nakamura, that my last name is Lee. Alex Lee. I'm here representing Lee Group to sign the contract." He was stunned. "You're the heir of Lee Groups?" He asked despondently, "Really, no room for negotiation?" Chairman Nakamura looked at me with pleading eyes, his voice hoarse. I know I was tough on you all these years, but I really treated you like my own son. You see, I handed over the Nakamura family business to you early on, didn't I? Isn't that clearly making you the heir? I never thought I'd bring Hiro back. Can you understand that I'm a first-time father? Can you forgive my shortcomings? I sneered and mocked him. Oh, Chairman Nakamura, are you still joking with me? Didn't you bring Hiro back 3 years ago? Chairman Nakamura froze, his voice trembling. You know. I said, what you called handing the Nakamura family business over to me was actually just pushing me to the front when the family was in crisis. While I was exhausted, struggling to save the company, you were abroad, eating, drinking, and enjoying life with Hiro, buying him luxury cars and watches because you didn't want him to suffer. Once I saved the Nakamura family, you immediately brought him home to take all the credit for my hard work. I looked at him with a cold smile. See, you're really good at being a dad. He was sweating profusely, his gaze unfocused. Clearly, he hadn't expected me to know about all this, but all this was easily accessible to my father, who had conducted a thorough investigation. Sorry. Chairman Nakamura lowered his head, looking guilty and disoriented. I said, sign the contract. When I left his office with the signed contract, he looked like a feeble old man, his once dignified presence completely gone. After getting rid of everything related to the Nakamura family, I felt a long-lost sense of relief. I was about to pack for a trip to clear my mind when I saw Lily lurking around. Somehow she had found out where I was living and came to look for me. When she saw me coming out, she hurriedly rushed up to me. Her eyes were red. Alex, I was blind before. I misjudged people, and I didn't cherish someone as good as you. I've just realized that you're the one who loves me the most. Can you give me another chance? She quickly raised her hand to show me the engagement ring I'd given her. She said, look, I've found our engagement ring. I've already divorced Hiro. Let's get back together. I looked at her coldly and said, Miss Liu, you're being delusional. What makes you think I would want you again? She froze for a moment, her voice choked with tears. Alex, I know I made mistakes, but I've completely changed. How can you just let go of all these years of love so easily? I sneered. You think I'm letting go so easily? Let me ask you, what mistakes have you made? How have you changed? Getting a divorce and wearing a broken engagement ring doesn't count as change. You've changed so easily, haven't you, Miss Liu? You didn't realize your mistake. You just realized that the Liu family is about to collapse and you're going to end up astray. I didn't believe a word of Lily's and was sure she was here now because the Liu group was on the brink of bankruptcy. I looked at her coldly and continued, Lily, you're just astray now. We're no longer from the same world. Don't show up in front of me again. Just the sight of you disgusts me. She choked back a sob. Please don't be so cruel to me. Alex, you can't be like this. You still love me, don't you? Lily screamed desperately, but I turned and got into my car, signaling the bodyguard to drive her away. During my trip, I heard about their recent circumstances. To maintain the Liu Group's current state, Chairman Liu had to marry Lily off to another businessman, a man nearly 50 years old. As for the Nakamura family's father and son, after paying off the penalties, they declared bankruptcy and moved into the city's slums, the very place they had once looked down upon. Lazy Hiro spent his days at home, muttering to himself like a fool. His father, desperate for work in his old age, finally had to swallow his pride and took a job as a security guard, earning less than $2,800 a month. From luxury to poverty, it was a bitter pill for the father and son, accustomed to the high life. But all this was their own doing, and I had no emotional reaction to it. After returning from my trip, I joined Lee Group and slowly began taking over the company. In my free time, I traveled the world with my parents, enjoying life and living happily.